Yes, it is. And let's now go and share
Ew,
that.
got some floating in my water.
Hold the line, caller. Let's pop this onto your page. Are you on the main page, Denise?
No, I'm going to go on to it now because there's normally a time delay anyway.
Preparing to live stream.
Okay, all I've got is can my dog eat pumpkin? Should be coming up soon.
Do you want Kate on this because she's just asked to join the waiting room?
Yeah, go for it. I'm just going to
Okay.
switch out to a different page and then I'm going to come back because it's not showing live
We're
yet.
live. We are live.
We
Welcome
are
everybody.
live.
Over to Denise to introduce everybody.
Given that I cannot see a thing, I'm just going to be making it up as I go along, as
All
usual.
good. But we are live.
Yes. Hello, everybody. All I can see is can I feed my dog fresh pumpkin on the page? So I'm going to assume we are live because Mark says we are, and I trust Mark. So today we are joined by my lovely assistant, Mark, as always. Kate Roxburgh, chair of our InterRescue section, and the amazing Melanie McAlpine. Melanie is, she does holistic animal care, including applied zoopharmacognosy. Did it?
Well done.
Yes, which in layman's terms is kind of animals that use plants as medicine, or in the term that we really, really love that Melanie told us earlier that I wrote down, botanical self-selection. Love that. Melanie also does animal healing, Reiki, and relax HAO canine massage, which is just incredible. So Melanie's going to be talking about botanical self-selection tonight. I am not going to risk saying that word again because I will mess it up. Kate is going to jump in. There we go. We can see Kate now. So yeah, I'm just going to hand it over to you, Melanie, if you want to tell us a bit about, it's not as simple as animals just eating plants because they like the taste. So let's go for it. I'm sure Mark has a few questions as well as to how you got started and everything. So if you want to tell us a bit about yourself, and I am going to try and find this on the page and get it shared around. Oh, and by the way, guys, I have 2 words that you're going to have to listen to the entire show to get your CPD points. And I'm not telling you when I'm going to say them until I say them.
Well, hello. Hi, everybody. Nice to meet you. Nice to be on here. I have practiced zoopharmacognosy for, I think it's about 12 years now. And I work with all species, but I love dogs. I've always had dogs myself as well. And zoopharmacognosy comes from the Greek, so it's easier. So zoo means animal, pharma means medicine, and cognosy means understanding. See, I can't say it either. And it's all about our belief that animals have an innate understanding of what they need to have a healthy life. And if you look back years and years ago when dogs were free roaming, they could go and take whatever they needed for their diet or to enhance their diet to make sure that they remain healthy. And the same with horses as well, which I do work with. But nowadays, as we've domesticated animals, we've said, this is the food you should eat. This is what supplements you should eat. This is how we're going to walk you. And we've made decisions for them. So the really lovely thing about this is it's all about animals, giving animals that power to make that self-selection and make the free choice that they need for things that they need. So really, I will never say this animal needs peppermint or this animal needs any specific oil. But a consultation will be talking to the client, ensuring first of all that they have been to their vets and they're fully, their vet knows exactly what's going on, because we never diagnose. We listen to the person, We look at the animal whilst they're talking as well, and then we sort of gauge what we need to offer. So we start off with powders, and we use all sorts of powders. They help settle the stomach or line the stomach, ready for the essential oils if we use them. And although they don't ingest it, essential oils are really strong. So you want to make sure that they've got whatever they need prior to that in their stomachs. And a lot of the animals, like for example, anxious dogs, if you put down a plate of spirulina powder and a plate of maybe rosehip powder, or rose hips if they need that, dried rose hips, whatever you're feeling for that animal, when you put them down, they can then go along, and lots and lots of clients that I go to will say things like, well, my Labrador is really greedy and will eat absolutely anything. And then they're always shocked when they go, oh no, I don't want any of that, thanks. And equally, I was with a dog who was having problems with separation last week. And it was a cockapoo, and the owner was saying he's super fussy. He's not going to take anything at all. And again, they were really surprised when he made a beeline for the spirulina, which is really strong tasting. So we start with powders, and then we move on, depending on what we feel and what we get from the animal. We'll either offer essential oils for them to smell. And we offer them very gently, and we start from a distance, and we'll come in and we're watching them again for what signs of turning away, licking and chewing, which I know you'll all know as behaviorists and trainers. So lots of those little signs that are saying that's too far, come back. And so we're working at the animal's pace the whole time. And occasionally, again, I was working with a Vizsla last Friday who had major separation problems. But the essential oils, he was so sensitive, the essential oils were too strong. So if you came in with and opened the lid of the bottle, it was just too powerful for her, sorry. So we used hydrosols, and hydrosols are the sort of watered down version. It still has all the aromatics in the hydrosol, but it's the first point of distillation before it goes right the way through to essential oils. And that was what this dog in particular chose. And they chose one that was about fear, but also fear and trust, funnily enough, but it'd been through a lot of trauma. And so I just sprayed it on my hands, rubbed my hands, and offered my hands to the dog, who rolled over and gave me a part of her body, which was just in between, on its chest, really. And so I just rubbed until she'd had enough, and she put her leg back down, so I walked away. So it's all about giving animals that choice of to what they need to be sort of happy and healthy.
Actually, I'm just going to jump in here because you said one of the magic words. So I'm going to give one word out. The first word you need is free for your CPD, and I will be giving the second word later on throughout the talk. So back into mute.
Now this has been around for a long time, hasn't it? But I think it's not been recognised until more recently. Is that right?
Yeah, and it's still not recognised by a lot of vets, but we are getting there. I think the more people talk to vets as well, rather than, I think vets possibly feel that we go in and take over and don't respect them enough, maybe. So I always say you must speak to your vet before us, and then if we can, I'll take details of the vet so that we can then discuss if anything particular comes up. Whether they want that information is up to them, but again, it's having that to give to them. But Caroline Ingram, who I did my qualifications with, who's absolutely amazing. She's worked with applied zoopharmacognosy for must be 40 years, and she started off as a human aromatherapy student with Tisserand. So, and she now has these incredible artisan oils, which you can see on her website. And she's special. She's a quite amazing woman. I forgot what I was saying now. Yeah, so she has been just recently, I think this year or last year, been asked to do a talk at the Royal Veterinary College. So this was a real coup because there is a lot of science, and she's got a huge fund of information that is based on science. Her son has done his thesis in the science of zoopharmacognosy as well. So she's trying to build up actual fact rather than hearsay, which has always happened in the past. But I think if you see it in action, there is no doubt that the animal is making that choice.
I seem to recall a story of it's either how somebody realised they could do something or whether they were testing it out. But I think one of my courses that I did, they was talking about a rather grumpy ram apparently that wouldn't let people into a property.
That's Caroline.
Oh, is that Caroline? I can't remember the whole story, but there was something about a really quite an aggressive or reactive ram, and that once he had the oils, he just kind of chilled right out. And
it's amazing.
What was the story of that one? Because I can't quite recall it.
The ram was owned by the amazing woman who from Tilly's Farm, which you may know. I can't remember her name. So works at she's a dog trainer, works at Battersea quite a lot. Do you know who I'm thinking of?
Sarah Fisher.
Sarah Fisher, yeah, wonderful.
The one and only.
Absolutely. So it was her ram, I believe, and she's in the video as well. And the ram was at the point of being put to sleep because it was literally trying to kill you when you went in, and it was a big head. And so I can't remember all the herbs and oils that it was offered. There's the little video, which funnily enough I've used recently because I had to go and see some rams, one of which was attacking someone. So I messaged Caroline and said, "Where's the video? I can't see it. What did you use?" It looks as though it was done within like a few minutes, but actually it took some time, and they carried offering it over a week before. And it's because these things don't happen, as you well know, with the work that you do. It takes time, and you've got to work at their pace. But yes, it survived, which was fabulous because they were able to calm it down. And I think the anger, I'm thinking it came from it was a hormonal point that she worked with. So that's how, and then probably backed up with some trust as well.
Yeah, I just love the story. I think it had in my mind this wonderful picture of this really grumpy ram. But yes.
No, it was.
Do you see a lot of this, or do you have experience of people perhaps saying to you, "Well, actually, my dog does pick out certain bits and pieces out on a walk to feed themselves with," that kind of stuff? Do you ever see that?
Yes, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful for the owners who allow the animal to pick and choose. And the classic one is, which I would be interested in your answer as well. The classic one is, "Why is my dog eating grass?" And we're saying, well, it's not any grass.
Yeah.
Have a look, see what it's actually choosing. Is it just going for the tips? Or my Labrador used to go for the very wide barley grass when it was in the field.
It's normally the one that they can't pass without manual assistance and rubber gloves the next day.
Exactly.
Yeah, every time.
And it's lovely. And then there's another dog that eats raspberry leaves. So they go down to the allotment and it chews the fresh leaves.
What are I can't remember off the top of my head the name of the plants. They come out near summer and they have all these little sticky balls on them.
Mark and I were talking about this.
Yeah, I had one obsessive rolling.
It's a different one. So the one you're on about, Denise, is different. The one that we were talking about, Mel, was the sticky weed, the cleavers, or what it was called, sticky willy or something like that. It's so weird. There's lots of weird names to it, but the one I think I know, Denise, what you mean. There's little tiny, they're like Velcro balls, aren't they?
Yeah, there's like tiny little burrs on them, and one of mine now is obsessed with just eating the stalks and leaves and rolling and covering themselves in the little balls. But I had a lab who, we had a bunch of them at the top of our road as you turned onto the main road. They were just growing wild, and he would not walk past without gorging on them. Every time. And I did see somewhere, I think it could have been on Connor Brady's page, he mentioned these particular plants whose name escapes me, and there was a particular reason some dogs gravitate towards them. So I didn't feel too bad letting him eat them. It was like, okay, he's doing it for a reason. So
and Connor uses he works quite closely with a Zoopharmacognosy practitioner in Ireland. who I met when we went to one of his conferences in Dublin, and met her, and she was quite amazing. So they've done quite a lot together, which is good.
Yeah. And like all his products are very natural as well. I mean, I get an awful lot of seaweed products from my guys and stuff. But yeah, no, he's big into that too. So
yeah. Is it for the teeth? Do you do the seaweed for?
Yes, I do. I'm having, yeah, I got some of the Canadant product that he has online at the moment. It's kind of 3 different types of seaweed that you just put a couple of scoops into their food, and over a course of a number of weeks, it kind of breaks down any plaque or buildup, kind of cuts down on the need for getting them knocked out for dentals once a year. So I'm kind of happy enough with that, because he has some lovely kelp products as well that is really good for their skin. I mean, my guys love sushi. They do love sushi. I make them special doggy sushi. They do love seaweed, so it's all good.
The only difference between Connor and I in that instance with seaweed, which I agree that it's absolutely amazing for many animals, is that I don't put things in food. So I will say offer it next to the food, or nothing to do with it. It's because it's a sort of, we're doing it as a medicine for them. I would, if I was offering seaweed, I'd put some dry mixed up in one bowl, and then some that I'd soaked in another bowl next to it, and then just see what they go for and what their needs.
Yeah, mine love the sheets. Yeah. No, mine do love the sheets of seaweed, especially if I make it up as a kind of a doggy sushi for them. The Canadant, I tried giving separate, not as snowballs. It does have to go onto a licky mat disguised with a bit of yogurt or a little bit of something. So, but we're getting there.
Yeah, I think it's an amazing product, and it because I was thinking of it for my Labrador as well. But I started. She wasn't interested in the seaweed at all, so I then did start putting some in her food, which she was quite happy to eat. So that's against all Zoopharma.
I know, and it's one of those. It's trial and error.
It is.
Absolute trial and error.
Is it? Would it be fair to say though that my older shepherd, she used to pick out that sticky weed, the cleavers, because it turns out it's an anti-inflammatory, so it's quite good. And apparently humans can have it as well. But would it be fair to say that just because it works for her, we shouldn't be saying to somebody else, or quick feed your dog that because it helps with this, that, and the other? So how would you? I mean, obviously we're talking about things tonight, and all us can say is anecdotal stuff about what our dogs have had in the past. What would you kind of go down the route of once they've seen a vet, of course? Would it be just, again, same sort of thing, offering up lots of different things, or narrowing it down?
I would narrow it down through conversation. I believe every animal, like human, is unique, and they all have different, unique needs. And as you will see with all the dogs, their humans can tell you a lot by talking about themselves. As to what maybe they're needing. And many times, if a dog has stomach issues, if you start asking the question about the owner, there'll be comparable things going on as well. So I would say I do tend to start with similar powders to start with: barley grass powder, spirulina. I don't know if you tasted it, it's really strong. So what we're looking for the animal is to first have the choice. So going and saying, I'm drawn to this one, I need this. And if I'm teaching humans, we can use spirulina, but it puts people off a bit. But we use licorice powder. So you smell I ask the human to smell the licorice powder. If they like the smell, then to put a little bit on a plate, dip your finger in and taste it. And then keep tasting.
I'd resource guard that. I love licorice. My dog would not get near it. I used to love the licorice powder from Holland. But I just wanted to ask you something quickly, because you were discussing vets. And I think what happens a lot of the time with vets is that people don't understand the difference between alternative and complementary medicines.
Yeah.
And that's where the confusion is. I mean, with all you're talking about, these would be complementary. They would complement whatever the vet is doing, whatever's going on. They're not an alternative. So as long as I just feel it's very important that people get that straight off the bat. It's like, no, we're not telling you drop your vet, use this. We're saying work with your vet.
Absolutely.
And this will be complementary towards what you're using. So the second word I'm going to give you is now, because I will forget, is going to be choice. So the words you need for all our members for CPD renewals is going to be free choice, because this is something Melanie talks about an awful lot, especially on our website.
So Melanie, what first got you into this in the very first place?
When I was coming up to my big 50th birthday, I felt that I wanted to change my path. And although I've been working with animals all my life, I wanted to do it in a kinder way and a more individual way, but I didn't know where to go. So I went, somebody told me about an amazing workshop with Intuitive Horse, which is now in Hastings. And I went there for their sort of 3 or 4 day workshop. And while I was there, one of the horses was not well. The vets had been looking after it for some time and had done well, but we think that this horse was going to lose sight in one eye. And so she called Caroline Ingraham in. And I had just happened to be there, spoke to Caroline and was fascinated by the work and the way and what actually seeing what was happening. So I signed up to her sort of qualification and her training, starting with horses and then moved on to dogs, cats, and then farm animals. So at the time she used to do individual things and then a little bit of human work as well. And I've gone on from there to learn other things that complement that as well, and I think work together, which I've loved. And I was just, when I was talking about the licorice, I was just going to say that each animal has their own dosage. So again, a vet will diagnose and say, this is the dose you need for antibiotics or whatever. Whereas with us, that's not what we do at all. And if you're with the humans, if you're taking that licorice, you taste it and it will taste sweet. And if you keep going, your personal dose will be at the point at which that licorice becomes bitter. And then you know when that's the time to stop. And animals, they'll have a similar type of thing, not sweet and bitter, but it'll change flavor. So their body is saying, you don't need any more of this, you've taken it. And then we'll offer that again, whatever it is, the next day for up to 2 weeks. But they may have had all that they need in that one dose that they've selected themselves. Sorry, I just wanted to finish that on the dosing side of it.
No, that's cool. And the thing there that leads me to the next question, really. Are these some things that are there that are then being used for the duration of the dog's life, or just intermittently now and again, or is it varied up again?
Again, it varies with the animals. One of our cats had a thing called acromegaly, which was a benign tumor on his I forgot what it's called, pituitary. Sorry, on his pituitary gland. And so it was a form of cancer. He had a shortened life, but so he would regularly choose to smell clove essential oil, which is really, you've got to be super careful with cats. And anyone listening, I would say don't treat cats or birds with oils or any of the powders unless you've spoken to somebody or have a practitioner there, because some of them can be really strong. For example, the Dalmatians are really tricky with some of the oils. So again, you can't use certain powders and oils with Dalmatians. So it's just there are breed issues within everything. But so he had the clove he would have randomly. I would offer it most days, and sometimes he'd just lay down and smell it. But otherwise, the dog might have all it needs in probably not one go, but in a few days. And things like spirulina, which are anti-anxiety, a really good way to get magnesium, and it's very high protein as well. So that's the algae. That my Labrador will have it, but she'll have it maybe I'll offer it once every week or so, every couple of weeks. And I know that if she needs it, sometimes again she'll ignore it. So it's a tricky one to answer. It's a bit like us, I suppose. You know, sometimes we won't necessarily always stay on blood pressure tablets. You know, if we lose weight, there are different ways to come off meds. But
you've mentioned spirulina a few times. So I've never heard of that before. Where does that come from in nature?
It's an algae. I use it as myself, so I have it in smoothies. It's very, very verdant green. And it's a funny thing for people to see the powder. When you put powders down, we usually put a little bit of water in it, mainly so dogs or animals don't sniff it in and then sneeze everywhere. But it's algae that, and also barley grass is another one, more with horses than dogs, but they'll often go for spirulina. And again, you don't know why specifically. You could say it could be the magnesium, it could be because they're a bit stressed, so that magnesium's calming them down, or it could be they just need a nutritional boost. You just got to believe that, or I do believe, and that animal needs that particular extract at the time.
Is there a theory behind why they would pick that particular thing out? Let's just say, again, my older girl, that she'd pick out the cleavers. I never pointed it out to them. She just started eating them one day, and she hadn't eaten them previously. What do we know, or can we theorize of why a dog would perhaps know what to go and pick out? Is it based on scent, taste? What do you think it is?
I think it's a mixture of all of those things, because I believe that it's passed down in our, and the same with humans. We know what we should be eating, but we get derailed mainly with sugar.
Is it like if we get a craving for something and I suddenly want to eat a pound of grapes, so I eat them and I feel better, or do you think it's that type of thing? Because I know my lab that was big into eating this particular plant, he'd be very, very hyper. He was kind of highly strung. He needed a lot of decompression. Once those plants were in bloom and he got his fill of them, he was so chilled out in his walks. I was thinking, oh, is he getting stoned?
Probably,
yeah. What's he know that I don't? So
I think they inherently know. Some people say that it's passed down from mother to puppies, but I don't think it is. I think it's just in their nature, like many things are with us. And I mean, it's for years and years and years.
Trial and error in a lot of cases. If it feels good, I'm going to keep doing it. Yeah.
I think it's quite specific as well. And in fact, I'm just gonna because I don't use it a lot, but I was looking up cleavers in particular because Mark had talked about it, from a great book which is all about botanicals, animal botanicals. So it's all the different seasonal herbs. So that the benefits that you could get from cleavers could be the fact it promotes lymphatic flow, thyroid. They might have had thyroid issues. It heals gastric ulcers, or is thought to be there. They're thought to shrink tumors and cysts. It also reduces urinary tract inflammation, kidney inflammation. So as you were saying, a lot of inflammation issues there. Cleansing skin as well. So there's a whole lot of possible reasons an animal may choose something.
Wow. So
the books that are around, that and Caroline's book, which again, if I can send links to, which is this one, they will give you,
just pop the links up now, so don't you worry.
Thank you. It will give reasons or possible reasons that animals will choose that particular thing, but it doesn't say, and this is the sort of, there is science in, because the reasons that might be anti-inflammatory, for example, might be because it has a specific chemical within the plant that is known to help inflammation, and a bit like dogs that will chew willow. So willow's high in salicylic acid, which is a partial base, not the basis, but is similar to our aspirin. So if a dog's chewing willow, it could be because that it's got some pain there. So if somebody had said that their dog is in pain, I would offer them equivalents like birch or wintergreen. So birch has the salicylic acid in it, or the similar compound, and they'll normally choose that for internal pains, whereas wintergreen, as we know, with the deep heat it's made from wintergreen, it's very much muscular pain. So there are different, and they make the choices, and we hold the two, and they go, do I want that? Do I want that? They'll sniff, they'll either walk away, or they'll choose one. So you put one away. So I've forgotten again what the original question was. But so there are, yes, there's lots of reasons that due to the compounds in the plants, for example, the cleavers, that your animal might continue to go back to it. And also the sugars, obviously, and higher proteins will spike at different times of the year.
Can they have adverse effects from things that they we're offering? Can they? I mean, obviously, with us, we can very easily overindulge in certain medicinal things through nature, mainly stuff that's been brewed, I think. But is it possible for a dog to overindulge in something and then have an adverse effect on that?
Definitely, and I think it could be if a dog has parasites, for example, that might be one of the reasons it's choosing a specific grass for exactly the reason you need to pull it out the next day. And I think there's some scientific proof that actually happens, but not with dogs, but with chimpanzees. They'll eat particular leaves and they chew them up, and then it can upset their stomachs, but in doing so, it clears their parasites from them. And with, again, it's away from dogs, but with horses, very rarely eat acorns, which are highly poisonous and have a lot of tannins in it. So could kill them, make them very, very sick. But if they're in a field, a domesticated field, but if they're out and about, there will usually be a plant that has saponins in it. The ones that we offer will be dried marigolds. So if you've got a lot of the tannins you've taken in, they would naturally go to somewhere that has saponins, and then they'll take that, and that will reduce the issue of them being ill. And they might be taking that again because of stomach issues. Dogs will, if I mean, I don't like animals purging. So that is just because I don't think it's the right thing to do. But many people will help them to purge by offering fatty oils combined with maybe rosehip shells, which are quite harsh, and then powders. And they will allow them to eat and eat and eat until they're sick. Often when they're sick, there's a lot of froth. So it's a sort of very frothy vomit. And the animals can take things. I think the same understanding is there for eating negatively, if that makes sense to you. So yes, they can eat things or purge or binge on things in order to purge them, but there'll generally be a reason for that. For example, the parasites.
Well, we have Scarlett Lambert is on at the moment. She says she's definitely going to buy this book. It's so interesting. Scarlett, I have actually added both the books. One is from rosetherapy.co.uk if you want to buy it directly from one of the authors. It's also available on Amazon. And the other book is, the link is from Amazon, and it's The Animal Self-Medication. I have Caroline Ingram's website and her. I can only see a few comments at once because it keeps scrolling up on me, but I also added her link for her bottles of goodies.
Medicines. Yeah. The other thing she has a great website, Karen Ingram. Another one that is really good is called myanimalmatters.co.uk. And both Caroline and Rachel, who own the My Animal Matters, supply all the different oils and extracts, but they've both got how-to videos on there. So it's and they've both got the sort of health and safety aspect of it, because certain oils you really don't want to go near unless you know what you're doing. and you know, things, for example, with the Dalmatians, I was saying, you've got to be, so certain breeds, certain things you have to look up. But if you look at either of their websites, you can have a look and you can see videos of how you offer the oils to the animals, or how you place them, and how you also, things like how you're looking for the signs that the animals will give you.
Okay, well, myanimalmatters.co.uk is now up as well. For anybody who's joining in, you're probably only going to see about 4 or 5 comments at a time, because this is live and scrolling. But when this comes back up, once we're finished, you'll be able to see all the comments, because all the links are there, including Melanie's website and details about everything. So we are very thorough. We will pop Connor Brady's up as well, because Dr. Brady has a very good site, Dogs First. So I will get that one up as well, because he also has a book, one of his books out at the moment that's very popular. So we're getting it. We're on the ball tonight, aren't we?
You are rocking this, Denise. You're rocking this. I'm assuming, obviously, with all these wonderful books, that you'd still be saying to people that you need to go and seek advice from a proper person that does this properly. Because I know, from my own point of view, I do like a nice forage, but I don't often get it right. I will pick the wrong thing.
Dodgy mushrooms again.
Oh, yeah, often. Yeah, they're the right things. No, but sometimes you'll pick something that you kind of go, is it not? And I've got books galore about what's what, but you go out and you start digging stuff up and you go, well, it looks like it. I'll have a taste. And you go, oh, that can't be right. So I'm assuming at this point we're not really promoting people going out now and just foraging and feeding their dog stuff, but to get the advice first from your vet, and then from people like yourself that know what they're doing.
Brilliant, absolutely. I think it's nice. So if you're taking your dog out and you're enabling it to forage, it's lovely to watch them and give them time to do that. So I always let my dog sniff. She's 15 now, but she loves to go out and and do her own foraging. But I wouldn't do it for her, because I can't remember whether it's a this or a that.
But a lot of the wild stuff looks the same.
Yeah, absolutely.
It really does. Even if you have a little guide beside you, that picture is not. No, I don't know. I can't tell. You mentioned the Tisserand brand earlier. How does that differ from Bach Flower Remedies? Because Bach was a huge one back about 15, 20 years ago, especially when they brought out the animal range. There's an awful lot of books on Bach Flower Remedies for dogs. Obviously, I'm not aware if they do a powder range, which you start with, but they have always promoted this liquid range. So this is where a lot of people can get very confused, because they read something online and go, oh, well, if you give your dog that, it won't be afraid of this. And if you give them that, it won't. And all of a sudden you get these people trying to self-medicate the animal and giving everything at once in a bowl of water. And the dog is going, what are you doing to me? So
yes, absolutely. I mean, I don't know much about Bach apart from Rescue Remedy, excuse me, for dogs, which I think I haven't used it, but I believe it has really has been good.
With the Rescue Remedy, I think at the start there was no particular one for pets; it was just the human one.
But that had brandy in, didn't it? And I think they've now
got
one that's diluted with water. I liked it, I'm sure, because of the brandy. But it's very difficult. So with Zoopharma, you're basically you never feed any oils or any powders to an animal, so you don't put it in with their food. You're not pushing anything in particular. But if you were saying, for example, it's very topical at the moment of fireworks, for example, and that's coming up, you don't know what emotional response the dog is having to the firework. Is it trauma? Is it fear? Probably. But there are lots of ranges. And in fact, My Animal Matters, Rachel does a firework kit. But if you look at the ingredients in there, there are things for fear, like we know that frankincense is often chosen for fear now. But when I was doing my exams, I used to be very worried about classroom situations or doing Zoom talks, etc. But so I would invariably use violet leaf, And violet leaf essential oil, a lot of people don't like, but I needed it at that time, and that's for fear of things to come. So we have.
So it's kind of, you're preempting. And what about valerian? Because that's a very popular one right now.
Amazing. That's your calming anti-anxiety one.
Yeah.
That will be in a firework kit. Absolutely. I'm just going to mute and cough for a second. Excuse me.
Right. Well, while you're doing that, to give you a bit of privacy, please, guys, remember, free choice are your 2 magic words for your CPDs. Okay, so we are back now to Melanie. I can't believe we are 40 minutes in already. So if anybody has any questions, please do ask them now, but please ask them on the public page. Even though I've shared this around to a few places, please go to the Association of Into Dogs public page, because it does exist.
Kate's got a question for us.
Brilliant.
For Mel.
I was just wondering if, when they're foraging for stuff and then actually picking out barley grass or, you know, different types of things, as opposed to choosing an oil or a smell, is that quite clear to you that one is more associated with sort of gut or health, you know, internally, and the other is more emotional, or is there a crossover and it's not that straightforward?
Well, there is a really good question. There is a crossover, but there are oils that I would call behavioral oils. So that would be frankincense for the fear, primarily. There's another one which is linden blossom, which is trust. So there are the definite behaviorals, and there are things like German chamomile is a really strong anti-inflammatory and is very much a physical thing. And that's basically, if somebody said that their dog had something with an itis, so colitis, or can't think of another itis, arthritis, anything like that, that would be my first port of call, would be to think of German chamomile, because that is that anti-inflammatory. It's very calming. So they're a physical. I think yes, peppermint, for example, is very cooling, very good for digestion. So more physical oils, but they can sort of, there are certain ones that will cross over. I think that's what's quite confusing with, if you're thinking about an oil for an illness or a behavior, because we're not prescribing. If you said to me that your dog had colitis, for example, my mind would think peppermint, ginger, fennel, German chamomile, but I wouldn't know which of those that the dog would choose, because it is unique in what it's going on for its physicality. So I would probably personally start with a peppermint oil, and if there was no signs or they're turning away, then I'll put that away and then try maybe the German chamomile. And so you're looking for the signs always, for the dog to lead you in whichever way it needs.
And do you ever set them all out at once and sort of see where the dog goes with its nose?
I don't, because you don't want to overpower them, because the essential oils are so strong. I normally will let you do that with the powders. So I would have all the powders and herbs. Don't use a lot of herbs with dogs, but you might have you might have like rosehip powder, dried rosehip shells, your spirulina, barley grass, etc. And I would put them on a high table. I'd put a spoonful in each, a little bit of water on them, and then I'd put them all down for them, and then they would go along. And it's wonderful to watch the process and the pattern. This you can particularly see with horses, but is that they'll come along and they'll go, do I want that? No, maybe next one. And then they go, yeah, oh no, I want to go back to that one. So they really take it all in. So it's fascinating watching. But I would be led. So if they're going for example, rosehip, I'm thinking vitamin C. That's a really strong vitamin C. So maybe there's some nutritional thing that they need more with the vitamin C, and then you go on from there. So yeah, that's lovely to watch. But with essential oils, especially with dogs, because you're in a room normally, we always say keep doors open. and allow the dog to be able to walk out at any time. I always have fresh water as well. So there are certain things you put in place. But yeah, no, it's lovely. So with the oils and the hydrosols, I would always just offer them in the way that I had felt connected with the dog and what it needed. And then it will tell me if it does or doesn't want it.
I noticed on your site, actually, you said you don't care if it's like a cold stable or a kitchen floor or wherever, it's where the animal feels most comfortable. So this is where we're coming in with, again, free choice, because the animal has the freedom to move around and whatnot. But you also say like your initial consults are about 1 to 3 hours. So you do ask people to leave that time scale open. That's amazing. That's so important, because I would hate anybody to be watching this thinking they could just buy all the books and then just go out and leave a trail of powder all over the kitchen floor and see which one their dog sniffs up. So please, 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 anybody interested in learning more, please do learn more before we go forward. Read the books, contact Melanie, and I mean, I'm sure if there's courses going, we can actually add courses if anybody's interested as well.
Definitely worth speaking to Caroline or Rachel for the courses that they do. But thank you for saying that. Absolutely. I think I say somewhere on the website, don't do this at home. You know, this is it, do get the facts. It would be like me coming and deciding to try and train a dog when I haven't got a clue what I'm doing. So go to the professionals.
It's interesting. I mean, people that go out foraging for their bits and pieces. I've got an app on my phone that tells you what plants what. So you just photograph and it tells you what the plant is, or at least it gives you. It gives you, well, yeah, mostly it gives you options of what it should be.
Yeah, no, I tried that because I was going mad looking for verbena. Was it verbena?
Verbena.
Yeah, and I ended up with yarrow. So I have a yarrow plant in the back garden that I took from the local park.
Just laughing in the background there because we got verbena here. So
I know I cannot find it anywhere over here at the moment, and I'll have to go down by the river and hope to God I can find some. So,
yeah, amazing. It is. You've got to be so careful, don't you? Funnily enough, I have a cockatoo that has come to live with us. She's 47. And I take her for a walk out in the garden. She's had issues and that's going on, but I've known her for a long time. And I take her out for a walk in the garden, and she suddenly leapt up onto quite a big pot and started eating sorrel that was there. No idea why, but that's fine. She's, obviously it's something that she's needing at that time. It's lovely.
That's probably a really good point to make as well, because you were saying as well that we kind of let dogs kind of forage to a degree, but of course there are some plants that are poisonous that they will still go and chew, especially puppies. So we've got to be very, very careful. And I believe, I could be talking rubbish here, but I believe there's a big difference between tearing something off and cutting it off. I think cutting it changes the chemical compound, I believe. There was something with horses where you shouldn't feed cut grass, but you can feed grass that you've pulled out of the ground.
I've actually heard that as well. It was something to do with cutting. It was the materials in the cutting instrument or something can change the. And I thought, okay, so I won't go out and start chopping up nettles with scissors and make them into tea. I'm supposed to like put gloves on and pull them up out of the ground. Yeah. It was really weird. It was something to do with the chemical compound. It's good that you brought that up.
It does. I think it does. I mean, I've heard that years and years and years ago. It might not even be right. I'm sure somebody out there will listen to this go, oh, he's talking rubbish. And
I know, it always stuck in my mind too. So we're probably both talking out our...
Yeah. Well, Denise, there's no change there. We both do that.
What's new? What's new?
I think what that does go to prove is, A, there's a lot of information out there that may or may not be right. And secondly, there's so much more to it than just saying, look, here's a rose, have a sniff, you'll be all right, kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Much more to it, and we've got to be very, very careful.
I think during a Zoopharmacognosy session, it is controlled relatively. But I think I don't know about the grass, but I with horses or most animals, I would never give them cut grass, but only because it's going to ferment quickly. And so I think they would upset the stomach. So I don't know the difference between, but if you pull things, whether they'll ferment as quickly, I doubt.
Not sure.
I don't know what the reason is now.
We'll need to get onto Green Isle because they do the quick freeze and all their veggies.
It might be one of those things that I've just had in my brain, one of those useless bits of information that you don't actually need at that point. Oh, here we go. Someone's Ernest Ackerman has just put a comment up saying, why can't you feed horses grass clippings? See, we've got some nice people here. The cuttings can compact and become lodged in the horse's throat, causing them to choke. Choke can potentially be very serious and distressing to the horse. Grass cuttings can also cause the horse to develop a potentially life-threatening stomach ache known as colic. Ernest, if you're still there, what will be the difference then of having a handful of cut grass and a handful of grass you've pulled up from the ground? Are they going to choke on that?
The length?
It's an interesting one.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
I like this. This is good. This is why I like people watching these things, because we get some great bits of advice.
Really?
So,
yeah, I'm really curious, because I'm now curious, is that the same as like my dogs like particular types of grass, but if I was to grab a lump of grass out of the garden and say, here, eat that, they'd look at me and go, no.
That's their individual dosage again coming to the pool. So they're taking, I want that bit of grass and I want just the tip, or I want all of it. It's amazing.
He reckons it could be to do with the length. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, good call.
Yeah.
Cool.
They chew off the length they can tolerate, or unless they're Labradors.
Yeah. You feed horses chaff or chaff, depending on where you come from. And that is short pieces of dried hay, so that you don't have the compaction that you would do. So the length, I'm not sure. I think it's to do with the wetness and the size. Because for colic, it could impact in compact in the gut as well, or produce too much gas.
What I'm just really pleased about, though, is that something that I recall from years ago, and Denise does, that somebody else has obviously gone, actually, why. I like this. This is great. I'm not going mad after it.
We're not making it up.
But
I know I did joke earlier, like, oh, God, we're live. I'll just make it up as go along. Yeah. But no, we didn't. We honestly didn't tonight.
But again, I think that does go to prove that there's so much more to it, and you have to be so careful about what your dogs are picking up, what they're chewing and eating and everything else.
Yeah, because Ernest has just come back. Thank you, Ernest. He says, I think horse pull grass when they eat as well, and not cut the grass with their teeth. That's what I am kind of looking at my dogs and seeing. When that's why they end up with these really long pieces that are kind of need a bit of help coming out the other end. But no, I always thought it was something to do with the length, the freshness and the length. I mean, if I go out into my back garden and clip some fresh herbs for myself, I've actually stopped using something to cut the herbs, because maybe it's psychological. I think they taste better if I just pull them up myself and do it. And the dogs the same,
don't they? Dogs tend to kind of grab and rip as opposed to try and pull through. So who knows? But we are getting away from the oils at the moment, so we need to get back to the oils, because it's
very interesting.
This has opened a wonderful discussion. This is great. So would you then have sort of generic oils that you would suggest for particular things? So let's take a very topical thing. We're coming up to the long 6 months of bonfire night. So is there any sort of generic oils that you might maybe have a burner, something like that, if that's feasible, that would help just in general to calm things down?
There are. I wouldn't suggest probably using a diffuser, or is that what you were meaning?
No, the essential oil burners, not diffuser, because they're horrible things, but the actual oil burners.
I would probably say not to use them around. I mean, I do use. I have open, for example, lavender bottle. I'll leave open in our lobby. But I know that our dog can get away from it, and it's far enough away from the parrot that it's not going to affect her. So I think you probably got to be. Lavender is fairly, it's fairly gentle, but it's a bit like, I suppose, if I were to give you a large vodka. You go, yes, please, thank you very much. No, you might go, okay, what do you hate? If I said to you, drink this bottle of vodka now, I'm gonna it doesn't smell, that one, make you drink it, you might go, oh no, it makes me really sick. So you would want to get away from it, and that can be the same with animals. So certain oils are not what animals want, and they can make them nauseous. So that's the reason I say always allow, if you are going to use something, use it in a room away from an animal. Always have the doors open, you can get fresh air in, and for the fact the animal can walk away from it. So I'm probably I'm rather don't use it.
Okay, so the best thing here, we don't need to intensify it. Literally just an open bottle would be enough to help the dog or cat or whatever at that point.
Have you all smelt a bottle of essential oil straight from? So we've got, I can't remember how many olfactory sensors we've got, something
fraction of what dogs have, and an open bottle is lethal. The things that I'm seeing a lot of in the supermarkets, and I can't abide these, are the plug-in air fresheners and things, the ones that change scent every few minutes so that you don't go nose blind. People don't realize how damaging they are to their pets, and they're wondering, like, why is the animal not staying in the room? Why is the animal cranky? Why is it sick? Why is it this? You've poisoned it.
Absolutely.
Simply, you've poisoned your animal. That, and even shake and vac with the scents. That shake and vac has cost me a fortune, because I ran out of the pet safe one I usually use, and the only one I had in the press was a shake and vac. I put it down, contact allergy. He caught the side of his face with his dew claw, ripped it open, cost a fortune in the vets, and the vet was looking, that's a contact allergy, can you think of anything? And I said, yeah, I use shake and vac. I ran out of what I had. I used shake and vac once. I says, they have more dogs coming in with contact allergies from that particular product than anything else. That, and then up the nose with the plug-ins. So people, please be aware of these oil burners, these plug-ins, these essential oil candles. All of those are lethal.
Too much for them. But I think shake and vac, why it's not banned is beyond me, because
that and the Zoopharmacognosy, that was the other one that was causing huge issues with pets. It's because I think with the Zoopharmacognosy, you add it to water and use it to wash the floor, but if the pet licked it, it could be potentially poisonous. So
it's a good time actually also to say, if you have cats, absolutely do not use any oils with cats at all. Cats are you've got to be very specialist to work with them. You can get a practitioner will work with cats, and it works well, as I was talking about my cat earlier, but you have to be so careful that they don't get any part of it on them, because then they'll lick it off, and it can be absolutely very, very serious. And again with cats, it's horrible to have diffusers and stuff around. It's not good for them. So yeah, always allowing your animal to get away from things.
Especially with cats, they'll just go and knock it off the shelf.
Yeah.
Just go and knock it onto your dog. So.
Well, we've got 2 minutes to go. That's flown past completely, far too quickly. So if anyone's got any questions and wants to ask a question, then please either type it in, or if Kate, if you've got a question, jump in, speak away.
Just going back to the goat. Because obviously that was a behavioural issue and it fixed it. Do you find that you can have an influence on, say, a dog that's, reactive? I know, a loose term, but do you find that you can actually help them sometimes emotionally like that?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's quite a long process. Obviously, it's not a quick fix in any way at all, as these things are. I think the other thing is that if the animals are really have a real serious problem, you have to be very, very careful, because some of the oils can also incite quite a big reaction. So, for example, if there's a fear aggressive dog, you don't open a bottle of Rose Otto, because it can absolutely let everything out. And I have, with some animals you have to have the owners have them on a lead, even with just the hint of the oil. So you have to do it really, really slowly. But it can help with behavior. Lots of people have it with, I use oils for calming dogs that have separation issues. Again, a dog recently, it was the same dog actually. The owners were shocked that it had liked powders, because it said no, it won't have any powders. But they couldn't leave the room together if somebody was there, without it having a real problem. So we found out the oils that helped the dog, and then I asked the one owner to go outside and stay outside until I'd ask her to come back again. And I know you will all have your different ways of doing it and do it slowly. But within our little session, both owners were able to go out of the room, and the dog was happy with me, which it wasn't happy with people generally. So that's a starting point for them to move forward. And that's what's lovely, is working in a complementary way with behaviorists and trainers, because you'll have
but also with the vet. Yeah, because if it was, like as Kate said, like it was something like serious behavioral issue, you did say earlier you would talk to the vet, because then you would understand, like you would know, like if the dog was on any particular medication, if there was any contraindications, or so it's just fantastic that you can actually, we have this community support, so to speak, because it really, a lot of the time I find this is why with Into Dogs we have our community group, so that we can open up. We have our case studies that Mark hosts. It's like we can open up, we can chat to one another. I have a client, the dog is doing this, and everybody jumps in and says, well, what have you done? Let's see, how can we help? And that's what's really needed. So I think the more we kind of look at complementary being the good thing, not an alternative, and going with it, because I know one of mine, the support he gets is phenomenal. He's on complementary stuff, he's on supplements, he has his hydro, he got laser therapy, his stem cells, he gets his science shots from I'm going to say science shots because he's going to the vet each month for shots, but we all work together, and that's the important thing. And I think that's what people need to look at, is the whole holistic thing, which brings us back to exactly what you are. You do holistic animal care. So if everybody could please check out Melanie's website, it is up there, along with Carolyn Ingram's and all the books mentioned and everything. And if anybody has any questions, is it okay if anybody who missed this live pops in a question that we could get you to come back and answer at a later stage?
Absolutely. As you were saying, it's all about sharing and learning from one another. On every animal I see, I learn something from it, hopefully positively. But got to share things. So yes, do, or drop me a line, either via my website, or I'm Mel. What was my Mel McAlpine? I forgot what my email is. mel@mcalpine.tv.
Yes, I was going to say there was something odd about that, because it was the TV part. But no, we would love to see that video with the goat, Sarah's goat.
Lovely. I'll try and find it, and I'll send it over to you.
That'll be good. It'll be good. Yeah. It's blast from the past, but
I love goats. There's so much character.
We're going to wrap things up now, so I can get this downloaded and posted again for next week. Mel, thank you. It's been fascinating. I've really enjoyed that.
No, it's been great talking to you.
Thank you.
Good fun. So we'll say
absolutely lovely to meet you virtually.
We'll say goodbye to Facebook. So we say goodbye to Facebook. Thanks Facebook for coming along, and we will see you with another live at some point soon. Many thanks.
Bye, everybody.
Hang on. Have we stopped? I think we've stopped.
No, it's still recording.
No, it's recording, yeah, but we've.
All right.
I'm just on about the. Has it stopped live streaming? So